was
Oh, yeah.
dancing to the music.
I know we dance all the time to it.
Well, John's got another podcast, and it's inspirational. The music's completely different. It's very much like going to see a movie, and there's doom, doom.
Yeah. It's got that
like,
that Game of Thrones sound to it.
Oh, okay.
He might interview you one day for it. It's non-photography. It's more inspirational.
He was telling me about it. He said you were on there last night.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
And nobody's actually unsubscribed since Rob was on, so that's a good thing.
Oh no, well that's a good sign too, right? Yeah.
Burying it all, my heart and soul, and embarrassing my family as usual. That's what I do.
Rob thing.
Well, I was very open. I've always been very open about my past, and I'm convinced a good part of my family, especially on my mom's side, are probably, if they knew, they'd be like, "Oh, shut up, Rob." That's not bad. It's just that, old school mentality is don't talk about anything.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but here we like to talk about a lot: photography, marketing, and Judy, I was thinking about, of all the photographers I've had at live events or webinars, I don't know that I've had anybody more often than you.
Really?
I don't think so.
No?
No, maybe Warren Noyce. He's been on quite a bit.
Yeah, Warren.
So
yeah, sure.
you and him. Other than that, you guys lead the pack, probably neck to neck. You probably pass him by a nose.
A couple.
And Warren closed the studio down, and he got a real job because of COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sadly.
That bad, eh? Wow.
And he was, in my opinion, one of the most successful photographers, but he was plugged into the dance industry, so it took such a beating.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and he just didn't want to pivot from that, I guess, is what happened.
Oh, I'm sure he did. But he just.
No, I guess there was no way to. Yeah, I mean,
pushed him to the wall. It pushed him to the wall.
I guess what really did it for me was that I had already basically shut down my photography side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
The actual shooting portion was done already by the time COVID hit. So
your timing.
It didn't. Yeah, it actually was really good timing. And then if you consider that all my clients are American and their shutdown was very short.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
In most cases. So it didn't affect me.
Up here in Canada, we like to lock things down tight. Crawl into the closet and shake. Okay, well, let me just quickly, before we have no idea what we're going to talk about. I'm never concerned about that with you, Judy, because you're just always interesting to talk to. Yeah. But I want to reiterate for anybody watching or watching the replay, Judy, when I first met her, like about 20 years ago, she had a website. So your background was IT, very, very techie. Frugal Bride, which was a website portal for advertisers and everything. Then you were a big-time wedding photographer for like the longest period. Then you got into boudoir photography, and you closed that down how many years ago?
Probably about 3 years now, I think it's going to be, come this fall.
You're full-time 100%, specializing in retouching for boudoir clients.
Yes.
Now, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. When are you going to grow up?
Like never. Oh,
come on, man.
I hit 61 in January.
I was going to say you look younger every time I see you. What's going on?
No, I hit 61 and lost by then 70 pounds, I think, from the beginning of last year. Now I'm at 80 pounds. I've lost 80 pounds since the beginning of last year. And exercise every day, all that stuff. Wonderful. Control my eating, but nothing magic. No magic about it. Just
common sense
and hard work.
Yeah, actually, a lot of common sense, right?
And desire.
Yeah.
No more
motivation.
No more chips, pop, and butter tarts.
No, I can't even tell you when the last time I had a Diet Coke was.
No.
I mean, I don't even know.
I'll eat enough chips, pop, and pop tarts for the rest of you.
John,
I do indulge from time to time like tortilla style chips, like that kind of thing. I'll eat that with my, because I make my own homemade chili and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't eat anything like that, but, just everything in reason, right?
Yep. Moderation.
Yeah.
I can't do that because I'm so impulsive. I'm so afraid to fall off the wagon. I've been so clean 3.5 years now in my diet. Haven't had sugar bread, haven't had any seed oils or processed foods in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I keep wondering, maybe I should have a bag of chips with my wife Tina watching a movie, or popcorn. I'm like, if I do it, I think
the big thing for me was the whole intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Oh, really?
That was the key for me. The key was figuring out how long I had to go on a fasted hours, like how many hours in the day, and how many hours I could eat. That would put me into what they call fat burning mode, so to speak.
Yep.
And so the magic number is 18 hours fast, 16 hours eat. So that's my window.
And that's common in the fasting world. That's a conversation. Are you on the keto thing? Because I'm keto. I'm keto, and that's a conversation that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Like 18 hours is the
18 hours is a magic number. Well, actually 12 hours is where your body goes into
good. It's even better.
Right? But you need those extra hours for it to actually do what it's supposed to do.
Okay, get a load of this. They got this thing called your body goes into autophagy.
Yes. And that's at 12 hours. So
amazing.
your body has to be in that for a while, right? So that's why they say that especially for women in menopause, 18 to 20 hours is supposed to be really good. I found I didn't need 20 hours. And within my workday, the 6-hour eating window works really well. So so it worked great for that, right? And that's what I've been doing. And I'm not going to say I haven't cut down on what I eat as far as junk. I don't eat anything like that.
Right.
But I eat like a normal person.
You eat clean, though.
I fairly clean. I mean, like, I love my dairy products.
Yeah, me too.
Eggs.
Me too.
But what I do is I do not eat out. I don't eat fast food. I don't eat everything I eat. I make, and I calculate all of the calories, everything, and it all goes into my my food journal. So I keep a pretty tight track of my carbohydrate, protein, and fat breakdown. Not calories, not other stuff like that. Just that breakdown, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I do daily. But I mean, I bake my own stuff. I make quiches. I cut them up and I freeze them in separate pieces and put them in the fridge. I do things like that. So it controls my portions for sure, because I'm portioning it off based on what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just being smart about it.
It sounds like The Zone. I remember Barry Sears come up with The Zone about 22 years ago. I don't know if you remember that book.
Yeah, vaguely. I don't think I ever read that one.
I took the course with my wife back in 2000, and I lost 25 pounds like that, literally in 40 days. But it was what you described, measuring carbs, fat, and protein.
Yeah. But that is actually, I had gastric bypass surgery back in 2013, right? Because I was originally 340 pounds.
Wow.
That was where I started.
Okay.
Now I'm 183 pounds.
Nice.
Right? So I've lost half a person. Right? But their whole basis of their nutritional coaching that they do, because they do that, that's part of the whole process, is to follow your carbs, fats, and protein. But they don't tell you, they don't want you to eat low fat. They don't want you to eat sugar-free, whatever, because it has all additional crap added in.
Yep.
They want you to eat normal.
Okay.
Track everything.
Normal. What's normal in our society?
Well, like controlling your breakdown, right?
You must feel good about where you're at with all this health.
I do. And I am sort of going to start to move a little bit to adding more of a plant-based diet into my thing. But not every day. You know what I mean? So it'll be bits and pieces here and there, because I do want to do that too. And I think that that will also make a difference. So, but little by little, I'm one of these people that it's like, okay, let's try this. Let's add a little bit of this. I just recently got a trainer.
Nice.
And she's one that she does an online program that she designed specifically because of COVID. And so it's like, you go into a gym, you get a trainer, and you got him for what, an hour? That's it, right? Then you go home. Well, with her, I don't go to a gym. I do it all at home. And I have 24-hour access to her.
Nice. Nice.
So it's different, right? Like very different. And it's been great. I'm on up to 8 weeks with her.
Oh, cool. Nothing like getting a coach. I mean, it just boosts your accountability.
Well, that and motivation and adding on to what I was already doing, because I had no idea where to start with strength training.
Are you doing strength training?
Yeah, that's what it is strength training. Because all the cardio I already have down, right? Because I've got my treadmill and my bike, and I do that every day anyway. So this just adds to it.
That's so important as you get older. So let's tie this into photography then.
Yeah.
It's always a good topic. Always.
Yes.
No matter what.
You need your health.
I mean, what about your health, really? So you started this. Let's tie this in with your timeline. And is there a link towards the fact that you switched your jobs from going to wedding photographer to boudoir photographer to sitting down photographer doing workflow? I mean, you look at that. Was that a concern for you?
It was a bit because, I mean, when you're working as a photographer, you're physically active.
Yes.
Even if you're doing boudoir, you're in a studio and you're moving
all the time.
Not to mention, when I shot weddings, it was one a weekend.
Yeah.
With boudoir, sometimes it was 3 and 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's actually, probably was more active even doing boudoir. But as soon as you're in front of the computer, you're sitting all day.
Yeah.
And that was when I started noticing that the weight that I had lost from the surgery at 2013, I was starting to gain that back.
Oh.
Bit by bit. And then COVID hit. And holy crap, by January 2020, I was back up to 264.
You were getting nervous.
Yes. So I started doing some research and looking into how I could better my health, because, obesity was one of the trigger thingies for COVID.
Yes.
Right?
Thingies. That's a technical term.
One of those thingies, comorbidities. That's what they call it, right? And
you're at risk.
I didn't want to be put in that situation. So that was why January of last year, I started to really look at the fact that I wasn't going anywhere. We were still in lockdown, blah, blah, blah. So what can I do? So I got to do it at home, right?
Yeah.
That's huge good. Impact.
Pardon?
It's a huge impact on you, right?
No kidding, eh?
Yeah.
A lot of people who are struggling with similar situations would get a lot from that message and from your story. So, but I was in Costa Rica 4.5 months this year, and I came back, and I look around when I come back, and I'm like, it's shocking how much weight is an issue with the general population compared to what I'm used to down there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Costa Ricans themselves, they tend to sometimes get a little pudgy, but I come up here and I hit the airport, I go to the mall, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so obvious. And
yeah.
So
culture. I don't know if you know or not, but they say 85% of the population borders on obesity.
I believe it. That's a high number.
It's a high number. But at the same time, when you look at the percentages of where that percentage, okay, so they're basing that on body mass index, I think, or body fat index, whatever.
BMI?
It's 24%.
Okay.
24% is actually not that high.
It's not that bad, no.
No. So I actually think that, and I think the problem is that a lot of the numbers that they base it on are old. So that itself is a little bit of an issue, right? Hold on, I got a call coming through. I'm just going to decline that. Bye-bye. So, I don't know if I go that far.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if you go to, say, the 30% range and up, I have no doubt it's a huge problem. And they're saying that that's actually one of the issues that was the biggest problem in the U.S. with people dying.
Yeah.
Is that they have a huge amount of comorbidities, and obesity is one of the main ones.
Yeah. Amazing.
Then you factor that into obesity and age.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you have other issues like autoimmune disorders and whatnot.
Yeah, anything like that, and it's really bad. And I hit 61 in January.
Yeah.
So it was like, this can't do it. Well, it was 60 last January, and that pretty much kicked it in for me. As like, come on, let's go.
Those milestone ages, I'm turning 64. It's freaking me out. This is interesting, and I wanted to add on top of that, I've always known this, that North Americans are at least 40% pre-diabetic or diabetic, and it's all type 2 diabetes, which is linked to your diet, which is the same condition that applies to what you talked about with the obesity thing. So
yes, well, a lot of times it relates to that too.
Yeah, so let's talk about this for a little bit longer before we get into what you've been up to photographically. And did you have, like, I look around and I go, my God, people, what is wrong? Why can't you see what is so obvious? I mean, it's easy for me to say, I don't really struggle with that, and I know a lot of people who do and have. And in your experience, because it's so close to home for you, what stops a person from saying, I got to do something about this? At least step one, I got to be aware of it. Step two, now I got to do the work. And it's not easy. It's like quitting smoking, maybe worse.
It's probably worse. So I think a lot of the fault lies in the actual diet industry.
Yeah.
Because going on a diet doesn't work. It's not a diet. Okay. You have to change your life, and you have to want to change it a little bit. It's not like I've gone through a major change here. So let me tell you a little story. Okay. My best friend, who I have known since she was 13, so a long time, her entire life, she has eaten as if she was intermittent fasting.
Okay.
But I only realized that last year.
Okay.
And this woman has she's never gained weight in her life. Okay. I wouldn't say she's skinny, but she's slim.
Yeah.
And even when she had her babies, she lost the weight right away.
So she's just never had that impulsive drive to constantly be eating.
Never.
Yeah.
But in her eating window, she eats whatever she wants.
Okay.
Okay.
Does she eat bad stuff, or is it just like whatever? Is it
I wouldn't say she eats bad stuff, but she's not one of these people who goes to the fridge and looks in and, like, if there's she doesn't drink pop. She doesn't eat a lot of
donuts and pizza.
She's not a chocolate person. She does like baked goods, but she doesn't have a ton of them in the house. It doesn't last in the house because if she makes it, everybody else eats it, right? I mean, it's like those things. So she might get one piece, right? So, that's kind of just how her life has been. But she does not eat to excess. She never has. And she eats within she does not eat after 4:00 in the afternoon.
Really?
Ever.
No kidding.
Like ever.
So she's breakfast, lunch.
She doesn't even eat breakfast. She's more of a lunch dinner kind of person. So she doesn't actually eat until probably 11 noon because she can't stomach food in the morning. She drinks water the rest of the day. I mean, this is her life.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I sit down, so here I am and I'm researching all this stuff. And I found a woman online who does intermittent fasting for aging women. So she's in her 50s. It's all about women in menopause and how they deal with it. And fantastic, amazing woman on YouTube. But I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, holy crap, this is what my friend Heather does. And has done her entire life.
She just that's her default mode. She's not done it.
No different, ever different, right?
Lifestyle.
I'm sitting there, but I have to tell you, it was like a light bulb moment went off in my head, and I went, "Is it really that easy?"
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. It's really that easy.
Yeah, it becomes a lifestyle.
Huh?
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's the kind of lifestyle change. So this is the huge thing that Diane Parham always says, and she's the one that I followed on YouTube. Okay. Her big thing is that you don't go and follow the diet. You make the diet follow you. So it's your life and you tell it what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. So my 18 hours fasting, 6 hours eating fits into wherever it fits in my life.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I get up early in the morning. So I start eating around 9 and I finish at 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
That's it. Every day.
No problems.
No, because that fits in with my lifestyle.
So in a sense, you might say, if you, there's a phrase I've heard and I thought was really cool. You don't live to eat, you eat to live.
Pretty much.
It's like fuel.
Yeah.
In the jet engine versus.
And then Diane's other famous saying is rinse and repeat. So basically you do it, you figure it out, you just do it and you repeat it again the next day and you do it, you figure it out and you repeat it. And it's a rinse and repeat type thing. Right. But in between, what you do in between, you just make it fit your life. So if you have kids and if you have a husband and if you have, this and that, you've got to figure out how to fit it around it. But once you figure out how to fit it around it, then you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then my trainer's favorite saying is progress, not perfection. I love that. Yeah. Okay. Because it's true.
Well, you know where that's from, eh?
No.
12-step program.
Oh, is that? I think that's perfect though. Because it kind of fits every day. It's just every day is a little bit more progress.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Progress, not perfection. They talk about that in every meeting you go to. It's in the intro. That's one of the paragraphs.
Is it? Yeah.
So that's interesting. So are you in a stand-up desk or are you sitting down 100%? I know you're exercising as well. So that
no sit. Helps. No, okay. I can't do the sit stand.
No way.
No. It's just the standing. Actually, I find uncomfortable.
Okay.
So, and that was what I hated the most about weddings.
Understanding.
No, I was fine till we got to the reception. And then at the reception, you're standing in one place and you're taking pictures. You're not moving around like the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the day, you don't stay in one place. You're basically moving, right? Yeah. So that was the one thing I hated receptions, and I hated that you had to stand there, especially during speeches.
Yeah.
It's like the video guy. Yeah, I get it because he's capturing words, right?
Yeah.
No, I can honestly say weddings I do not miss.
I was just going to ask you, do you miss weddings? I guess not. So what about? Do you miss boudoir at all?
No, I don't miss them.
Okay. But you're really enjoying, because we talked to you a little under a year ago, and I've talked to you before that as well, and you expressed a lot of satisfaction. You were exhilarated, and you seem to be really happy doing what you're doing, which is like a retouch artist. I go into that, I look at that and go, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that.
No, some people couldn't. Definitely couldn't. Not every day.
Yeah,
know,
this is every day, 6 days a week, I think, right?
well, no, now I have myself working 5 days a week. I
Okay.
don't work Saturdays and Sundays.
You were 6.
I was 6, but I have 2 other girls that work for me,
Right.
and they are now trained to the point where they can take enough work that I don't have to work 6 days a week.
Cool.
Okay. So I'm working the 5 days, but I'm still doing about 100 images a day.
Nice. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah. So, typically that takes me about 8 hours. Is an average of 10 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of average, right?
Yeah.
So it's about a 8-hour day, which is fine. That's a normal work day.
So they're part-time, you're full-time, your schedule very structured, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
They're taking the overflow, is that correct?
Yes.
And so they're irregular as far as how much that means they're going to be working, right?
It's a couple hundred images each a week, usually.
A week. Okay. So it's very much a watered down version of what Judy's doing.
Yeah.
If you had to, say, if you sprained an ankle and you had to go to the hospital for a day and a half, I'm sure they could take the overflow for a
Yeah. And one of the girls that works for me lives here in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to come and I'm going to fully train her on what I do.
Okay.
So she will have a key to my house so that if anything happens that I'm away, because I want to take a vacation.
That'd be nice.
I want to know that she can because now she can do enough work that she can handle it for a week.
Yeah. So, but isn't she trained already? And
yeah, but she's not trained to do what I do.
Okay.
Okay.
I would have assumed you would have trained everybody to do what you do.
No, because there's no point in training Michelle to do everything when I say they're not trained to do what I do, they don't schedule the business. They don't schedule the jobs. They do not have any direct finishing of the images. I finish the images because their systems are not color calibrated.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's certain things that all they do is retouch. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I raw process for half of my clients. I do all the raw processing for them. And then I'm actually going to be taking on culling for one customer.
Okay.
But she can take that part back for the week I'm away.
Yeah.
Right.
So planning a holiday? Are you planning a holiday?
I would like to go away. I have no idea where.
Yeah. You're going to do it though.
I am. If anything COVID's taught me is do it.
Just do it. Okay. So let me ask you this then. With what you're doing year to year, are there seasons ups and downs
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Kind of.
You're so vague.
I mean, we go through a bit of a slow period from mid-December to beginning of February.
Okay.
But it's not dead completely.
Mm-hmm.
But I do take off a full week between Christmas and New Year's. So we take that off, right? Okay. So nobody works. I don't even think my clients don't even do anything during that. Mm-hmm. And then July and August are slow. Not completely dead, but a little on the slower side because my main client takes off 2.5 months.
Right.
Okay. Like she's done now and she won't be back to work until probably the second week of September. But she has 2 other shooters who so that's where the work comes from. It's from the 2 other shooters.
Cool.
They're in there. So, still busy, but not crazy.
Yeah. Fairly consistent. So this boudoir, you're retouching boudoir clients like literally 100%, right?
100%.
So it's a booming market apparently.
Oh, it's crazy. And you know what the thing is? Good retouchers are hard to find. So that's number one. From what I've gathered from what I hear from other people is I'm actually on the cheaper end, which is kind of surprising, but I think it's because I started such a long time ago.
Well, that's good news though.
Yeah. I don't even consider myself that cheap, to be honest, but I
Mhm.
am a little less than most that are starting out in the industry.
Mhm.
But I mean, let's be frank. I have myself and 2 girls, and I only have 5 regular clients.
That's it, eh?
That's it.
Wow. There must be way more out there.
Way more. Like there are literally hundreds of
Yeah.
boudoir photographers. Hundreds. And even if only, like, let's say you take 100, and even if only 10% of that 100 want to outsource, that's 10 photographers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a market there for it.
And these are all Americans, or you got any Canadian shooters?
I don't want Canadians,
Why not?
and I'll tell you why. Because I don't have to collect sales tax.
Oh,
All right. So I
true.
don't have to submit and collect sales tax.
Who wants to do that?
Don't want to do it. So I don't take on Canadian clients for that reason. It has nothing to do with whether or not I like them or not. So I'm trying to keep my accounting side on the simpler side. And it's just, and never mind the fact that when I submit my HST, which of course I still have to submit it, but I get all the deductions back.
Yeah.
Right? On anything that I've paid HST on. And I have a lot of expenses because I pay a lot of online stuff that I have to use in conjunction with my business.
Yeah. So you're being charged HST, and you're probably getting it all back and then some. You're probably getting a rebate check.
Yes, I like it was $3,200 this year that I got back.
That's nice. So interesting angle I want to bring up on that. The government's keeping an eye on you. They probably called you or are thinking about calling you. Are you sure you shouldn't be collecting?
Yes.
They're like that. HST are brutal.
I've already talked to them.
They're worse than the Gestapo.
Yeah. Yeah. I've talked to a couple people, and they basically, so they actually were really, honestly, super helpful for me.
Cool. To
figure out how the best way to track my system. And I put all new systems in place a year ago. So now everything is super clear where all my money's coming from, because I was using PayPal. Worst possible thing you can do.
Really?
I can't stand PayPal.
Yeah. And never mind the fact that you lose about 3 to 4% on the exchange rate. You're losing a lot of money. Okay.
Okay.
Besides you can't write off because you never see it.
Right.
And then on top of all of that, the accounting is not clear. So I moved to Stripe.
Right.
And then I got another thing called Wise, which creates a US bank account.
All right.
So it goes from Stripe to the US bank account. And then there I do the conversion. I get full conversion. Okay. And they only take like 0.5%. They take a very small percentage.
Yeah.
And then I pay $1 to transfer the money. That's it. Right. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah. I was using Stripe for my e-commerce that we just signed up for. I didn't like it because it worked a lot like PayPal, where people would pay me and you have to wait for a week or so to get your money. And I just changed everything over to Square, which allowed me to do it just like my in-person stuff, where it's next.
Yeah, but Square won't let you take US payments.
I don't have US clients, so it works okay.
Exactly. So I couldn't use Square.
Right.
But let me tell you what happens with Stripe.
Which is funny because Square is a US company.
Yes. But what happens with Stripe is that 5 days is now only 3 days for me. So it was only for the first 3 months. They don't tell you that. It's like they put you on probation. And then they flipped me to a 3-day turnaround, which is fine. Yeah, with PayPal, I was getting my money same day. It's no longer like
I used to hate PayPal because it took about 3 or 4 days to get into the PayPal account. And then once it was there, they'd say, okay, what do you want to do with it? Leave it here, or do you want it in your bank account? And you'd have to tell them to put it in your bank account and then take another 2 or 3 days.
Not like that anymore. Now you do still have to transfer the money physically, but it's like same day.
Oh, okay.
Same day.
Well, why is it you didn't like PayPal then, Judy?
Well, because it was losing too much money on PayPal, and because you can't track your accounting properly on PayPal.
So I'm just curious, this other thing you went is called what again? The one that creates the US account for you?
Wise.
Wise.
W-I-S-E. Wise Business. And it's a great system because it creates that American bank account.
Yep.
And then the money goes in US dollars straight from Stripe.
Yep.
All you lose on Stripe is your transaction fees, which is normal, right? And it goes right into Wise. And then in Wise is where you do the conversion. I don't do it in Stripe because I lose more money if I did it in Stripe.
Right. Cool.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, when you have to build a client, you just log in online and create an invoice?
I don't even do that because my Squarespace website does everything for me.
You're big into Squarespace?
Yeah. My one of my clients set up everything for me. So I actually have my job submission form in Squarespace. They fill that all out. When they click on that, it takes them to the invoicing. And it's like a shopping cart. And they go in and they do all that and they pay. And that's it. And I don't bill them for anything.
So this is, they're going to send you some work. They got to prepay it and send it to you and do all of that management payment preemptively.
Yes. They have to pay ahead.
That's cool.
For all their work. Yeah.
Does anybody come to you and say, hey, Judy, just send me an invoice once a month? I'm going to be sending you lots of images. Does anybody ever say that? Or
no? The only thing that I send an invoice for is for my one client who wants me to cull her images because I charge her job on that. It's a flat $25 fee I charge her on that. So I just accumulate them all and send her a bill once a month.
So if the Canadian government says, you know what, we got to collect more taxes and people like you're skirting the system. We're going to make sure you have to now start charging taxes. And that's just the way it is. That's going to piss you right off, isn't it?
Well, that wouldn't be just me. That would piss off a lot of people.
It would.
Yeah. I don't think they will. I don't think they can do it. I think the free trade agreement stops them from being able to do that.
Yeah. So I had the NoBS forum at one time. There was a lot, like 60% of the members were from the US, about 40% were Canadian from all over. And each province, technically, I was supposed to collect whatever HST rate.
For each province.
This was insane. And you're supposed to do it every month because it's a recurring income.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And then I eventually did. And it was so much work. And we did get audited, but they didn't go back past 3 years. They only go back 3 years.
Which is good.
Our books were tight and clean, but what a hassle. Such a hassle. So I know what you're saying.
I know. Well, I have to say that with Stripe and Wise, and then how it all ties into QuickBooks, I have this little piece of software. I forget what the heck it's called. It's some sort of tracker thing. I just go in, pulls up all my transactions, knows all your fees, and then QuickBooks does the conversion. See, because the biggest problem is knowing exactly what you're paying in Canadian dollars. It's never the same.
No.
It changes daily.
Yes. And so QuickBooks goes by the current exchange rate. So I just do it once a week, pull it all in there, and it averages out, right? There's just no way to know 100%. And that was what the actual woman from the tax bureau told me She said, there's just no way to know 100%. But she said, if you do it that way, then you're okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, and it's not that they're lenient, but they understand that conversion problem.
Yeah.
Which almost changes hourly. Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I just do it once a week, and I can literally, I can get all my fees from Wise, and I drop all my fees in as well. It's like dropping in bank account information into QuickBooks. So everything's like so easily accessible. It's fantastic. I love it. And it's so much better than anything I did with PayPal, because PayPal just was crap.
And you're getting paid in American funds, so it's like a bonus. And that,
yes,
obviously you factor that in.
Yeah, well, you have to, right? Well,
Mhm.
that's the whole point that QuickBooks factors that in at the end when you're bringing all of the payment information from Stripe into QuickBooks. It
Yeah.
does all the conversions for you.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're charging and you're looking at, okay, I'm making $100 here, but it's actually like 140 Canadian or
130, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of something that you have to consider. So
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting, interesting. So you must be really, really, really getting really, really good at retouching.
You can say that.
I mean, you get that like 10,000 hours, you know?
Yes.
You get to the point. I noticed that with fairies because I started doing all our own workflow 5-6 years ago. We reduced our volume.
Right.
We didn't want to be crazy 700-800 sessions a year like we were before. I said we just stopped marketing to babies first year, all that stuff. But fairies are a big part, and I actually enjoy doing them.
Yeah.
It's scary.
There's a lot of composite stuff, right?
I can do an image in well under 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's layers, but I enjoy it. It's relaxing. I listen to podcasts. I don't know if I could do it 5 days a week. I think I could.
Yeah.
If I didn't have pressures coming externally, if I didn't have a whole bunch of other stuff. But here's my point. I feel like I'm getting better at it because of the amount of hours and days and months and years that I'm putting into it.
Yeah.
And we're talking way above John's head because he doesn't do any retouching.
I do retouching. Who do you think taught my wife?
His wife does it all.
She does it all. Yeah. Well,
he's taking it easy.
Although lately we've been outsourcing a little bit. Like when we get the graduation pictures that we shoot or school pictures and that, and sometimes it's in bulk. Like we do the one Algonquin College convocation here last week, 140 something students. When they send them in, if there's an eye glare in the glass, because we don't have time to sit there and fix them, we got like 10 seconds per student. And that we'll just send them to something like retouchup.com. It's like a couple bucks or whatever, and they'll take the glare out, do the skin pimples and that, and send it back to us all done within 24 hours or less.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to, but not all the time.
The one thing that I always tell my clients is I'm a retoucher, not a compositist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So don't ask me to recompose your image or change the background or do anything like that. I'm there for that person in their body.
Exactly.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, do we clean up background? We do clean up background. We get rid of plugs, we get rid of things like that.
Right.
If the client wants me to extend a curtain, we extend a curtain. I mean, those things are easy to do, but we draw the line at certain things. And then there are what I call difficult clients. We charge extra for those.
Don't be difficult.
I charge more for strobe clients.
Okay.
So anybody who shoots with a strobe.
Really?
Yes, because the detail, you got to remember, Rob, we're not just looking at a person's freaking face. We're looking at the whole body naked.
Right. Naked. The whole body. Lots of skin.
Oh, yeah.
Lots
of detail. Right? So if they're shooting with a strobe, they're shooting at f4, 5.6, and you're getting everything that's wrong.
I know where you're going with this.
All the flaws.
I know where you're going. And if you have a good sharp lens, which most of us do.
Sure. Holy crap. Like literally. So I charge $7 an image for strobe images.
What do you charge for the non-strobies?
It's $4 for regular, $5 if it's a really hard job. And a hard job would be considered natural light, but where there's a lot of problems. Like I'm working on one right now. She is literally covered in acne scars.
Oh, no. And she knows it's going to be a lot more money.
And she wants them gone.
Yeah.
So now, luckily, it's natural light. And luckily, the client shoots a touch on the shallow side. So on some of the images, it's more just a bit of a blending.
Yeah.
But she gets charged more for that.
Yeah. So you're
skilled. That's why I train my wife, because then I can shoot and I do the accounting and the business. Well, not accounting. I do the business side, the billing. She does the accounting and the touching up. So we work good together that way.
Yeah.
And she's better than I am anyways. I taught her, and now she's better than I am. So.
Good team. There you go.
To be fair, my wife does a little bit of Photoshop just because sometimes she'll see something. She always inspects every image that I workflow.
Yeah.
She sends them to the lab. And she'll say, wow, we got to fix this. And I'll show her how. And then she started doing it on her own.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's getting
I don't know how many times I've done a shot and I think it looks great. And then my wife looks at it and goes, let me work on that. And then she'll go and she's got to fix it.
The interesting thing was a photographer friend of mine out in BC, who is a boudoir photographer, a really good boudoir photographer, Jessica. Her husband started doing her retouching. I used to do it. Her husband started doing it. Then I helped him out, gave him some pointers, training. Another retoucher I know, she helped him. So now he has his own retouching business.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, well, obviously he's a good student.
Yeah.
And obviously he knows
That's great.
Doing. He learned the skill and he was came to you for extra help. And that is a feather in your cap in many ways.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, like I was sending him clients because I can't take extra.
Yeah.
Who do you send them to, right? Yeah. So it's like anybody who wants to do it. The only thing that I always say is don't do this if you think this is only temporary, because these people start to really depend on you.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right? And it's like you're like their lifeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're giving them time to breathe, basically.
Yeah. Well,
you're not just a retoucher, right? Like, I mean, I can't even tell you how many clients that I've actually helped them through camera changes.
Right. You're like a consultant.
Absolutely. Because they're seeing their images and they're trying to figure out, how do I do this? What do I do with this? Like the biggest change with one of my clients was she went from the 5D Mark IV to the mirrorless Canon.
Yeah.
Major issues.
Why is that?
There are different technicalities behind one and the other, right? But because I already worked with a couple of clients who are shooting with the Canon Rs, I knew what she needed to do. And now I process her RAW files.
Yeah, cool. So you're versatile because of that.
And that's because there's some sort of screwy thing between Lightroom and Canon. Lightroom is not supporting Canon. They're in a big argument or something. Okay. And so you can't get proper Canon profiles.
Okay.
So I've learned to work around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had to learn to work around it.
Lightroom fights.
Yeah. They're not happy with each other right now. It's an Adobe Canon thing. I have no idea.
Everybody's got to get along at some point.
I mean, come on. How many camera companies are there? Aren't that many camera companies, right? It's like, so you're going to, why not just make nice?
Play nice.
Yeah. Somebody said, well, why don't you work with Capture One? Well, why should I if I can figure it out in Lightroom?
It's all the same, right?
It's not that Lightroom won't read the files. No. It just doesn't have any custom profiles that you can use with it. So you kind of have to know where to go with the file and how to build it. And now I'm pretty much used to it. So
yeah, that's amazing. So I want to talk about what John mentioned, Retouch Up. There's also the one I use is Ribuku. And they use the same system that you have, where if I want to send an order in, I prepay it. I tell them what I need. It's usually a cutout. I got to cut out the background, usually for a headshot. And they fast, like they say in 24 hours, but it's usually hours later it's done. And it's always done well.
I'm not that fast.
Well, I was going to get to that. Well, you're a specialty.
Yeah,
you're like boutique. These guys are high volume. Probably a lot of sports and T&I guys are going to Ribuku and Retouch Up, and grad shooters like John. So the volume thing. So and possibly dance schools and I don't know. Anyways, that kind of thing is very similar in many ways. And you've created a system where they have the exact same system. I got to go in there and it's prepaid and bada boom, bada bing. And in the background, lurking in the background is this idea that I'm sitting there. I don't want any more than 24 hours and I'm going to start fuming. But they've never let me down because they're really fast. So you've got the same thing going on, but I'm sure for you, like you said, you're not that fast. What is your average turnaround per client? Say somebody sends in, what is it? 20 images is average?
Oh, no, 20 is like really small.
So somebody's saying 40 images for an album?
Anywhere between 50 to 100. I don't do album images. I'm doing most of their jobs before the clients even see the pictures.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, so they're investing that time and money.
Yes.
To present, and then the images.
And then I have one client that I do her final pics, but her jobs are still big.
Yeah.
Really? What does she?
Oh, she sells a ton. So on a regular basis, 50 images, regular.
Really? So, okay, I got to ask you this about that then.
Making a small killing, basically.
Yeah. Well, people are buying it, so and that's really what it's all about. It's a rich.
Probably doing like reveal walls or something like that, so that they can sell them right on the spot there.
Oh yeah, like crazy.
So when somebody has those images, say I've done a boudoir shoot and I've got 58 proofs.
Yeah.
She's going to send them to you full resolution. You're going to work on them. They are ready for her now to go straight to lab, whatever the client orders. Is that correct though? Or is there more?
In most cases, yes.
There might be some.
Well, I guess it kind of depends. Like I have one client that I raw process. So she sends me her raw pics, a raw process. So I color correct and all that stuff. Then I do the retouching. Then I take them and I batch them and I do her finished color work and I do her finished black and white work, which happens to be my black and white because she liked my black and white that I used to use all the time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything with it. So sure, I'll do it. So anyways, I do both of those. And so then she gets album ready.
All right.
Images. But then I have some clients that take the images and they do the final processing, their own color in black and white. So it's kind of a split.
Yep. And you have that as an option when they send it in. There's probably a drop-down menu or a click box.
Well, no, I mean, in most cases, no. The only thing they tell me is if they want raw processing. In the odd time, they don't. Most of the time, they do. Yeah. But anything else is in instructions. So they tell me. But no, they don't. Like the client that I do the finished stuff for, she don't have to tell me. I automatically do it.
Yes, you got that before.
Yeah, like this is okay. This is what because every client is custom. It's very different from like Retouch and these other places.
Yeah,
you're not a custom client. This one, it's customized, and it's customized because I'm doing her jobs every week.
However, I'm pretty sure Rebuku and RetouchUp, they have certain retouch artists who are working with certain studios, and they
probably.
Danny Rebel, I believe, and they go in there and say, we want to work with that person.
Yeah.
So Aziz is our guy because a lot of people are in India. Anyways, interesting stuff, Judy. This is amazing. I'm blown away. Okay, I got to tell you something. Especially since COVID, I wanted to go and do what you were doing.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me, I'm going to kind of explain it and explain why I don't. And I'll explain why I do and where there's a compromise in there. So you had mentioned, and you mentioned it just a little while ago, that you can't just go in and out. You've got to be committed for the long haul. And I totally respect that.
Yeah.
My fear is there's a part of me that like, I should just I want to move to Costa Rica, but I got to keep working. And this is
reality. Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, if I did something like what Judy's doing, I could do that. But do I want to work 5 days a week in front of a computer? So I have to resolve that. Yes. However, there's a big, big, big part of me, and I don't think I've ever told this to you before. I would love to sit down with you one day and look over your shoulder as you're doing work because I want to learn. And I want to learn. I can't imagine learning what you're doing from anyone else at the level with which you're doing it because you're way beyond the 10,000 hours now.
Oh yeah, probably.
And I want to learn from that level of mastery. So, and I might hit you up one day. So.
Oh yeah, hey, anytime. I mean, that is how I taught the two wonderful, amazing ladies that work for me how to do this. And even to this day, we do the Facebook calls. And I give them refresher courses.
Cool.
On certain things. If I notice little things, both of them have problems with the neck area.
Right.
So I will always say, I'll take examples of what they did and I share my screen and I go through it all with them over and over again, right? Because you get used to, you just hammering them out, you're hammering out, and then all of a sudden you get stuck with this one and you're like, what the heck do I do with that? Right. So, that's how I do it. And then the odd time, if they have an issue, they'll say, I'll get a messenger from them and they'll be like, can you get online and help me with this? Absolutely. 100%. So that's how we do it. They watch me do it.
Have you ever been stumped?
Oh, hell yeah.
What's typical? All over the place.
The hardest thing to work on, absolutely 100%, is cellulite.
Oh, yeah.
And rules.
Okay.
Okay. Because you can't completely get rid of it without spending hours on an image.
Right.
And I can't do that.
Can't do that.
Okay. So there has to be a
fine line.
Right. Like you're walking a tightrope and you're either going to fall off on this side or this. So it's got to be in the middle somewhere. So you have to find a compromise on what is going to work best. Like technically with cellulite, you need to find, using frequency separation, a part of the skin that has texture but is smooth that you can move down in over the cellulite. Then you can clean up the color gradation in behind. So those are just kind of methods that we've used, and I tweak them a little bit. But no two women are the same. So it
goes by the pose too, how they're posing there too.
It gets really hard. The whole neck thing on plus size women can be a real challenge.
Right.
Real challenge. That's the biggest problem. I get the stuff back. This is one of the reasons why I go over everything the girls do.
Right. You do it.
I get it back. And just yesterday, I had one back from one of the girls, and she was plus size, and she had when they do like the tilt to the chin like that. But what happens is the face has a tendency, one side looks bigger than the other.
Okay.
So what you have to do, hold on, let me just decline that.
She's calling to get help with her editing.
Yeah, that's actually one of my clients, but normally she tells me she's going to message me. She didn't. So you have to look at the face and say to yourself, does that look right?
Right.
Because when they're like this, one side is like super big and one side's super small. Anyway, yeah. So it's kind of like you just have to. Yeah.
Challenges. And you're doing it.
That's one of the reasons why I always tell my other two retouchers, once you're finished a job, sit down and go through it image by image by image again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just quick.
With fresh eyes.
Yes. Because you're going to see things you missed.
Yeah.
I'd even say walk away from the computer for about 15, 20 minutes and then go back and then because you need that break from the screen. Once you look at it again, you'll be like, whoa, what did I
I mean, I don't do that anymore. But when in the beginning, I did do that.
Yeah.
It was
I think you should walk away for like 12 months.
Yeah.
Then go back. You're really.
I mean, like I do it the simple way. I put it into Photo Mechanic.
Yeah.
And I bring it up and I just click through it image by image. If I see something needs to be done, I take it, drag it into Photoshop, change it, done. Right. So I do it sort of, it's a simple process. And that was what I would do that regularly when I first started retouching, because I would miss things all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So, now I don't. Now it's like, because I see enough stuff. I don't want to see anymore.
Yeah. You're at that level, man.
Oh, yes.
And it's good. Life is good. It sounds like
it's good.
Sounds like you really found your groove and you're really enjoying it.
And I have great clients.
Yeah.
Listen, it's like you cannot beat people who really appreciate what you do for them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, as much as you hate to say it, is not always the case with a paying client.
No.
That's true.
Okay. And I realized, the photographers are paying clients, but they're photographers who are in the industry that I was in. So there's a certain
camaraderie.
Yes. Like they know I know.
Yeah.
Right?
And they know.
They trust me.
There's a respect there.
Yes. Whereas when you're working with the general public and you're creating photos for them, some of them really don't even understand
the
amount of work that goes into what you do.
You don't just push a button?
Yeah, you just push a button and it magically is perfect.
In the movies?
Don't do what Rob said and go away for 12 months and come back. I don't think your clients would be too happy with you. If they have to wait for a year for their photos.
I was kind of joking, but have you ever done that? Looked at an image you shot a year or more ago and you're like, wow, fresh new eyes. So it's happening.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Yeah. Or like, hey, that's not bad. Or I would change this and then it would be really good.
Well, I still have all my images hanging up in the house.
Right.
Right? Because my house was my studio. Yeah. So I still have a full wall. And so I had this new pair of ladies come in to clean the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman, she was just in awe.
Really?
Yeah. And she says, you don't do this anymore? and I said, no. What a shame. She was like,
interesting she would say that.
Oh, yeah. And then she proceeded to tell me about a friend of hers who went to a boudoir photographer and the images were awful. And I was like, and I started laughing. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. It is hit and miss. It really kind of depends on who you hire. But I was like, well, yeah, but I know. Yeah. I don't miss it, honestly.
No.
No, I have done one shoot in 3 years.
Wow.
And that was last summer. I photographed my friend Heather's 18-year-old daughter for her senior graduation because she got nothing because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I took her out and I did senior photos for her.
Nice.
Yeah. She had her cap down, everything. It was beautiful. And she's a beautiful girl, right? Yeah. So it was like, I'm not going to let this just go by because she's like a niece to me. Right. Yeah. And so I went out and I did that. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to pick up my camera for another year. That was good. Thank you very much.
I did that with my daughter because she was class of 2020 and she didn't get her prom. She had a nice $500 dress that she never got to. So we took her out and did some senior shots with her dress and that with the truck and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That was what I did for her. Yeah. Yeah. So,
cool. Okay. Well,
don't ask me to do that for somebody else.
Yeah. So, we'll let you get back to work and return your phone calls and in an hour and a few minutes.
Yeah. Susan wants to talk to me. And whenever I get on the Facebook Messenger with Susan, it's like an hour.
It must be therapeutic.
Yeah. I love her to death. She's actually was my first client.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 years. I've been doing
she's also your BFF.
Yeah, she's fabulous, but she talks a lot. So it's like,
I listen to my daughter. She has a friend that she just linked up with down in Barrie, and she's on the phone like 3 hours nonstop. I hear her laughing. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, but you know what? They're connecting. That's important.
John and I.
COVID made you realize just how important that kind of stuff is.
Yeah. Well, for the women folk mostly.
Mostly, yeah. Oh, well, hey, listen, I have this one old photographer friend of mine, male.
Yeah.
And when I get on the phone with him, 2 hours minimum.
Mm. Oh, really?
And he lives in Hamilton.
Sounds like my wife and her sister. She'll get on the phone with her sister and they'll be on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then when they're done, her sister will be like, okay, well, if you're not doing anything tonight, I'll be over in a couple hours. I'm thinking, what else do you have to talk about? You just talked on the phone for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's what it's like with Steve. I just kind of like whatever.
Well, Judy, you are an interesting person to talk to. That's kind of the baseline there.
Thank you. I have fun whenever I talk with you. So it's like, it's a mutual.
Oh, good. It's, it is a good thing. And John and I were talking about this last night about how it's something we both enjoy doing, talking to people, interviewing people and asking questions and hearing all kinds of stories
Yeah.
from people's lives. I've always been that way, and it's fascinating. So,
well, it is fascinating. It's that whole saying. What is it? Lead a man to a fish, and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish, and he'll eat for life.
There you go.
yeah, keep learning.
Well, you say hello to Tina for me. You know, it looks like you guys enjoy your time in Costa Rica, which now you're not there anymore.
4.5 months, and I feel very fortunate and blessed that I'm able to work for 7 months the rest of the year. Or
yeah,
the bulk of our income now is ferries and pop-up weddings.
Yeah,
I love pop-up.
You've earned it.
What's that?
I love pop-up weddings. They're in and out. Tina's a wedding officiant now.
Oh, is she? I think you told me that.
Yeah, so we do pop-up weddings, and we get calls all the time. And we did 2 on Saturday. One was in the forest. 5 people. They wanted to go into the forest on the trail, get married, did pictures, and out. Nice. 2 hours in and out, legally married. So that
would be my kind of wedding.
Yeah. If I ever got back to it, that would be the same thing. But I got out of weddings like 4 years ago myself.
Okay, can I just say this? For 2 years, I never saw a single wedding photo on Facebook. Now it's like Facebook and Instagram. It's freaking everywhere.
Oh, really?
I'm like, I want to just unfollow.
And they're probably all Rob's weddings too.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's like all these crazy, these crazy weddings that they're spending like $100,000 on nothing. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I know. Well, money's there. If they want it, they want it.
Yeah.
Argue with them.
But it's like, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed not seeing that.
Now you know.
Now I know.
With age comes wisdom.
It totally does.
And it gets worse.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I agree.
So, anyways.
All right. Well, it's been lovely chatting with you.
Thanks, Judy. We'll have you back maybe sooner than later.
Yeah.
That's the one we've had on twice now in like a year and a half. You're only the second one. So.
Yeah.
We had Randy
elite.
I'm always happy to come back.
Good.
Because I love chatting with you guys. So
yeah, well, it's always good to chat to you, and you've got so much to share with the industry and a lot of insight. So we appreciate it.
That's because I'm an old broad. Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna go, guys.
See you later.
Have a good day.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.